Open your fridge right now. A cold can of soda hisses when you crack it open. Yogurt sits in perfect plastic silence. Leftover pizza rests neatly boxed, and fruit that traveled across oceans waits quietly on your shelf. To you, this is normal, ordinary, even forgettable, but to your ancestors it would be completely unrecognizable. Not just unfamiliar, but impossible, because for most of human history, none of this counted as food. To understand what did, you have to rewind far beyond farms and cities, back roughly 3 million years, to a time when your earliest ancestors weren't hunters at all. They didn't chase prey, they followed it. They watched from a distance as predators did the killing. A lion taking down an antelope, devouring the richest parts first. Organs, muscle, the most valuable cuts. Then came the hyenas, crushing bones, tearing skin, consuming everything they could. By the time your ancestors approached, the feast was over, and what remained looked like nothing. But to them, it was everything. What they found were thick leg bones, dense and untouched, too strong even for hyenas to break. Inside those bones was marrow, gray, greasy, rich with fat. Your ancestors picked up simple stone tools and smashed those bones open, not carefully, but violently, reaching in with their bare hands to pull out the slick marrow and eat it. Raw. That was the meal, not because it was appealing, but because it was possible. No other animal could access it. That was the advantage of being human. Not claws or speed, but the ability to grip, to strike, to break what others couldn't. And inside those bones was fat, the most calorie-dense substance in nature. Pure survival for a starving brain. They didn't stop there either. When skulls were cracked open, they revealed something even richer. Brains, dense with fat, a hidden jackpot inside bone. Your body still remembers this. Every time you crave something rich or heavy, responding to a signal written millions of years ago. And when there were no bones left, no carcasses to scavenge, they turned to something smaller. Insects became food. Termites pulled from mounds, beetles crushed between teeth, fat white larvae writhing with nutrients. There was no hesitation, no disgust. This wasn't a last resort. It was reliable, available, alive with calories. This was life not for a short time, but for over 1 million years, until something changed everything. Fire. Deep inside a cave in South Africa, evidence of controlled fire shows that humans learned to use it about 1 million years ago. And with fire came cooking. Cooking transformed food, breaking it down before it even entered the body. Raw food demanded energy to digest, but cooked food gave energy instead, offering more calories for less effort. Over time, the human body adapted. Guts shrank, digestion became easier, and the energy saved was redirected to one place: the brain. The brain, small in size but enormous in demand, uses about 20% of your body's energy, despite being only 2% of its weight. It couldn't be sustained on raw plants or insects alone. It required dense, cooked, energy-rich food. Fire didn't just change how humans ate, it changed what humans became. And as the brain grew, so did the menu. By around 300,000 years ago, humans looked much like you, but their diet was vast and unpredictable. Mammoths and bison on open plains, fish from rivers, shellfish from coasts, roots dug from the ground, berries, nuts, mushrooms, some safe, some deadly, eggs stolen from nests, and honey, especially honey. Even today, the Hadza people of Tanzania live in ways that reflect that ancient past, with a significant portion of their calories coming from wild honey, climbing dangerous trees and enduring stings again and again because it's worth it. Honey is pure energy, sugar in its rawest form, and your body still hunts for it. That craving you feel for sweets, for sugar, for that instant burst of pleasure, isn't weakness. It's ancient programming. For your ancestors, sugar meant survival, providing immediate energy and extra fuel stored as fat for the future. Your brain doesn't know the difference between honey dripping from a tree and a donut in a box, and modern food has taken advantage of that. Sugar is everywhere now, in soda, candy, cereals, sauces, even bread, disguised in countless forms. And your brain keeps saying yes because for most of your history, saying yes meant staying alive. But sugar wasn't the only craving. Meat mattered just as much. A single successful hunt, a massive animal like a mammoth, could feed a group for weeks, saving time that would otherwise be spent searching for food. That time became opportunity to teach, to build, to share stories around firelight. But there is a darker part of this history, one that's harder to accept. In a cave in England, Researchers found human bones from nearly 15,000 years ago that told a disturbing story. These weren't just remains. They were processed. Skulls were carefully shaped into cups. Long bones cracked open for marrow. Marks carved into them after the flesh was gone. This wasn't starvation. Other animal remains in the same cave prove there was plenty of food. Humans weren't eaten out of necessity, but choice, possibly ritual, something deeper than hunger. And this wasn't isolated. Similar evidence has been found across Europe, suggesting that for thousands of years, humans did this to each other not just to survive but because it meant something. It becomes even stranger when you consider that fresh meat wasn't always preferred. When a large animal was killed, it couldn't be eaten all at once, so it was stored, buried, hidden in caves, submerged in cold water, left for days or even weeks. When it was retrieved, it had changed. It was rotten, crawling with life, softened by decay, and yet it was still eaten. Some researchers believe it was even preferred that way, because rotting meat is partially broken down, easier to chew and digest, with bacteria producing nutrients the body needs. What we call spoiled, they may have considered ready, and your body still carries traces of that past. Cheese, yogurt, sourdough, pickles, soy sauce, these are all forms of controlled decay. Fermentation is simply rot, slowed down and made safe, and your taste for it didn't begin in modern kitchens but in a much harsher world. Every craving you have, for fat, sugar, salt, richness, comes from that world. Your body doesn't understand supermarkets or expiration dates. It runs on a simple command: eat what's rare, eat what's rich, eat while you can, because tomorrow there might be nothing. So when you open your fridge late at night, even when you're not hungry, something ancient inside you is still active, still searching, still preparing. For almost 3 million years, every human lived on the edge of starvation, and that memory hasn't faded. If you were dropped into their world, you'd likely die within days, unable to recognize food, unable to hunt, climb, or survive. You would stand in a landscape full of resources and starve, because you wouldn't know how to see them. But if one of them stepped into your kitchen, they would believe they had entered a god's pantry. Food everywhere. No hunting, no danger, no waiting. It would be unimaginable wealth beyond anything they had ever known. And yet, to you, it's just a fridge. And that might be the strangest part of all.